1, 2, 3, 4.
Screen time, screen time, screen time, screen time.
It's my screen time too.
Screen time.
Hello, and welcome to It's My Screen Time Too, the podcast where two moms review the best and worst in children's programming, from Netflix reboots and YouTube shorts to Disney classics and Pixar blockbusters. We watch, you listen. Find out what you can tolerate watching for family movie night, what to avoid altogether, and what you'll want to watch alone voluntarily. I'm Deborah.
And I'm Katie.
And I have 3 kids. Tony is 13 and Libby and Nate are 10.
And I have 2 kids. Jay is 7 and Kenny is 4. They're pretty adorable, aren't they?
They are adorable. What have your boys been up to this week?
This is both bad and good. Kenny is now in the habit of sleeping in our bed. Which happens like cyclically with kids. It's not the first time this has happened, but Kenny is getting older and getting smarter. So he knows that his daddy does not like it, and his daddy is more apt to put his foot down and make him go back upstairs. Whereas mommy is a total pushover. So Kenny comes into the bedroom. He tiptoes over to my side of the bed and just touches my hair until I wake up. He doesn't make any sound. He doesn't want to wake up daddy. He just wants to wake up mommy so she can tiredly say, just come in the bed and sleep. But it's really sneaky.
That is creepy. I bet. Like a creepy feeling.
I mean, I know it's him. If one day I wake up and it's someone else, yeah, I'll be totally creeped out.
Yeah. So he doesn't just... My kids just get into bed if they don't ask permission.
Yeah. He's just a hair too short to get into bed without me helping him or moving out of the way so he has a lot of room to get purchase.
Got it.
But give it time. I'm sure he'll just do that.
Yeah, he just needs to grow like an inch taller.
All right. How about you? What have your kids been up to? Nothing creepy, I hope.
Okay, so swimming lessons were impossible during the pandemic because of, I think, more staff shortages than actual pandemic concerns. So Libby and Nate have not taken swimming lessons consistently for 3 years. I think they took 1 session last year. We go swimming a lot, and I'm always trying to get them to work on their strokes in the summer. And they flail around and act like they can't really swim. So they started a new session of swimming lessons. I finally got them in, and the instructor had the kids try a front crawl, and they both swam beautifully. Nate's was perfect. Libby kept instead of doing a little side breathe, she would lift her whole face out of the water to breathe. But I was I would not have felt so this was an urgent thing if you would just do your strokes. But it just my kids don't do anything I want them to do. It has to be a professional to get them to demonstrate. I don't know that they can do anything really. It's frustrating.
I feel that in my heart so deeply.
I mean, it's a really good thing we don't live in an agrarian society anymore where we're entirely responsible for the education and upbringing of our children, because mine would not do anything.
Oh, you better believe I had those thoughts in 2020 before the kids started going back to school. If I have to do this forever, my kids are going to be so dumb.
Yeah, totally illiterate, can't ride a bike, can't swim a stroke.
They'd be good podcasters, though.
Well, it's a good thing we live in a society.
Screen time in the news this week is pegged to our larger topic. So today for Screen Time in the News, we are talking about an article in the Hollywood Reporter that was published online on February 7th by Abby White, and the title was Paw Patrol Team on Launching First TV Spinoff Amid Franchise's 10th Anniversary. And what it is a conversation with series creator Keith Chapman and Spin Master's president of entertainment, Jen Dodge. So in case you couldn't tell from the title, this year marks the 10th anniversary of Paw Patrol, and later this year we'll see another Paw Patrol movie titled Paw Patrol, The Mighty Movie. As the article explains, Paw Patrol has already expanded into publishing, merchandising, toys, video games, stage shows, social media, and theme parks, which, side note, I had to look up because I wasn't aware of the theme park thing. But Deborah, you probably already knew that Paw Patrol has a theme park in the Mall of America?
Well, it's like a ride.
Oh, just one?
But it's like not even a fun ride.
Oh, no.
It's perfect for little kids who love Paw Patrol. You like pay admission just like you would to ride one of the roller coasters or like the other rides, and you go in and it's just kind of a big area with pups to climb on and get your picture taken with. Oh my gosh, I've got tons of pictures from it. I should post them when this comes out, because like to me it seems like a bit of a ripoff if you're paying for amusement park rides, because it's not like a thrill giving ride. But Libby loved it when she was little.
Right. Well, spoken like a grown-up who is not me, because I do not like thrill rides. I am all about the experience, so maybe we'll have to make a special trip to the Mall of America. Although I did look on the Nickelodeon website, and there are like lots of international locations of Paw Patrol theme parks.
I feel like calling the one at the Mall of America its own theme park is generous.
Yeah, they also claim to have a Nickelodeon theme park experience in Universal Studios Florida, which I do have some familiarity with. I think there's just like one SpongeBob store, and that's it.
Okay.
So they use the term loosely, is I guess our larger point. Okay, back to the actual article we actually read. So the author says that Paw Patrol, quote, illustrates how a brand can weather major industry shifts and reach its audience across multiple and even competing mediums. They talk a little bit about what initially made Paw Patrol a success and what has made it so lasting over the past 10 years. They place some emphasis on the fact that pups are the most popular pet with kids, and the designs they chose for the pups are rounded and soft, but not so cartoony that you can't tell one dog breed from another. So it walks the line between cartoon and realistic. They talk about how watching cool machines transform feeds the kids' fascination with high-tech machinery, and how the overall message of Paw Patrol is empowering, that little pups can do big things, which means a lot to preschoolers. They also talk about the things that have changed in the 10 years since Paw Patrol first aired. They mentioned, to my delight, that Skye will be the star of the new movie, and they were pretty open in saying that when they created Paw Patrol 10 years ago, the perception was that they had to have mostly boy dogs because boys would not accept a show starring too many girl dogs. And they now recognize this perception was wrong, which at least they're open about their mistakes.
Which, to my 23rd year of our century, sounds ludicrous, right?
Yeah, but it's not 1980. Like, this was 2010 or 2013.
I guess if you put it back in 2013, it was totally a different time. I remember somewhere in between, Target stopped doing like aisles of boys' toys and aisles of girls' toys, and now it's all kind of neutrally presented. And I suppose in 2013 it was more gendered.
Yeah, and that's what they said too, explicitly, about the toy aisle being very gendered back then, which just feels crazy because it doesn't feel that long ago, but it does really track with your kid's lifetime, so I guess you would know way better than I would.
Yeah, and it was pre-Me Too, which I think changed some people's thinking about how women are socialized and how men are socialized and brought up, right?
Or if not the thinking, at least the outward appearance of the thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in addition to that valuable point, they also brought up how today's media landscape means the show has to be, quote, everywhere all the time, and the challenges of having a presence across streaming, linear TV, YouTube, social media, and launching later this year an app, which just made me sigh in exhaustion. And they also, to bring up another good point, brought up a renewed focus on, quote, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that every kid can see themselves on screen, which was a really hopeful point.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So, what did you think about this article? Did it give you warm fuzzies about the role that Paw Patrol has played in your life to this point?
Sort of. I mean, I have fond memories of Paw Patrol because Libby was so into it for so long. And I think part of its success is it just really perfectly uses like the formula for a successful TV show. Like there's a lot of drama, tension, and satisfying resolution. It's like the SVU, no, the Law and Order of kids shows. I guess
really
Rubble
like
would
that
be
analogy.
the SVU spinoff. Because you know what to expect. You know what's going to happen, but it's still kind of surprising. You don't know like how many twists the plot is going to take, but you know they're going to solve the murder or the crime or
they're going to
bridge
rescue
that
someone.
fell down. Yeah.
And you also have a really stable but somewhat rotating cast of recognizable characters that you know. You smile when you see them because you know that Chickaletta is always going to do something dumb, or that Captain Turbot is going to be feeding jellyfish jerky to his walrus. And there's something very comforting in that. You're right, in a similar fashion to a long-standing television show like Law and Order. I thought in this article, the creator and the suit did a really good job of walking the line between portraying themselves as having a genuine creative fondness for the product and an awareness that it is a product and that ultimately their goal is to just shoot its little tendrils into as many areas as possible so they can make more money. I thought they were both sincere and honest on both of those points. They seem to both like the product and be aware of its gargantuan money-making potential.
Yeah, well, it was something so successful as Paw Patrol, and it's like a pretty good show. Like parents can feel fine about letting their kids watch it. The only thing that's kind of a downside is like the commercials, right?
That's fair.
But,
although I guess we'll get into it when we talk about how we watched our show for this week. It really made me think about long-standing, like if you read a series of books and they become really popular, and towards the end of the book series, the author is always like, oh, I'm not affected by the popularity. I'm just telling this beautiful story and I have to say what's in my heart. And I'm not thinking about how many people will buy it when I'm writing it. And you just kind of crinkle your eyes and know that that's bunk.
right.
But they're very clear-eyed about what they're doing over at Spin Master with Paw Patrol. So I appreciated that.
Nice.
They also talked a little bit about ways that you can distinguish the spin-off from the original so it doesn't feel quite as samey. So the spin-off stars Rubble, who is a construction pup, and they talk about how he's not as limited to the first responder role as Marshall or Chase, and that they felt like they would be cannibalizing their audience if they focused on one of those other two pups. They did talk about how Rubble is the funniest pup, which I know you agree with. And it talked a bit about how Paw Patrol is about friends and your found family, whereas Rubble and Crew is about actual family. So I liked that they were going forward with a concrete vision as to how this was different from the original, instead of just being like, let's make all the things to get all the money.
I like what you did there about the concrete vision.
Thank you.
And there are so many inventive ways to work with a construction crew. There's so many scenarios that they can save the day. Let's do a little follow-up from last episode. I just read what you posted, which is a Variety article about Ms. Rachel, who we covered in our last episode, and she has fancy new representation in Hollywood. She just signed with CAA, which is a top talent agency that represents Tom Hanks, Ava DuVernay, and Steven Spielberg. Way to go, Ms. Rachel.
I know. Applause for her.
We're so thrilled for you. Never change. Keep the overalls.
Yes.
So today, clearly we're talking about the new Paw Patrol property, Rubble and Co.
Sorry, it's Rubble and Crew. I kept writing it wrong when I was writing the doc, and I wrote it so many places that it's wrong sometimes and right other times.
So this is a spinoff of the popular Paw Patrol show produced by Spin Master, a Canadian entertainment company. The first episode premiered on January 9th of this year, 2023. It airs on Nickelodeon in the US. It's not available on Paramount Plus yet. The showrunner is Bradley Zweig. He worked on Sid the Science Kid as executive producer and was a writer on Doc McStuffins. And in the show, Rubble, who, if you are unfamiliar, he is a construction-loving bulldog pup from the original Paw Patrol crew. And in Rubble and Crew, he takes on a variety of building projects with his family in the town of Builders Cove. Why did we pick it? Paw Patrol was one of the first shows we ever covered for our podcast, but way back in episode 15. Every single one of our kids has loved it at one time or another with varying degrees of affection, I would say. We've been in movie watching mode lately, and so it's time to return to our first love, which is children's television. And it's hard to squeeze in time for a full movie during a busy week, but the short format of a TV show, especially a preschool show that's broken up into 10 to 15 minute segments, can be a really quick, satisfying family watch. We talked a bit in our last episode about how Paw Patrol feels like one of the only true universals in kids programming. And by that, we mean like something that when the kids are like 20 years old, they will all have watched or at least be familiar with Paw Patrol. So we had to cover it. We watched 3 episodes because there's not a lot out yet. We watched episode 1, The Crew Builds a Bridge. Episode 2, The Crew Builds a Big Bike Shop and The Crew Builds a Super Tub. And episode 3, The Crew Builds an Ice Cream Shop and The Crew Fixes a Squeak. So we'll go through the episodes one by one before we move on to our general impressions. Katie, take it away.
It's been a while since we covered a traditional television show, and I don't know if you remember this about me, listeners, but you will be not surprised to know that I neglected to write down a short summary of the episode, so I'm going to be winging it. You're welcome. So in the first episode, citizens of Adventure Bay are trying to move to Builders Cove, which is a new city being led by Mayor Goodway's sister, Mayor Greatway, who has neglected to build a bridge across a giant canyon, which is the only way to get to Builders Cove. So she asked Rubble and his family, who just happened to be in town for a family reunion, to build said bridge so everyone can move to Builders Cove. When they eventually are successful in building the bridge, Mayor Greatway invites them to come live in Builders Cove and help build all the things, because obviously she has not thought through what it means to be the mayor of an actual town with actual people living in it that needs actual infrastructure. And because they love building things without being compensated in any way, Rubble and his family joyfully agree to move to Builders Cove. Deborah, what did you think of this episode?
Okay, one bridge collapse that really happened where I live like a long time ago. So I was like, wow, this is maybe too real. 2, it's been a long time since I watched the real Paw Patrol. Are the adults always this dumb?
Well, Mayor Goodway in particular is pretty dumb, yeah. But I feel like Mayor Greatway kind of took it to another extreme.
Yeah, and that's like a general observation from all 3 episodes, but geez Louise, are they lucky that the pups are around?
Yeah. I will agree with you with the actual peril of the bridge building, because over the course of the episode, the bridge is first built very shoddily by the running villain of the series, who's called Speedmeister, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the cars start driving across it and the bridge is actually going to collapse, which in the world of Paw Patrol and its related properties felt like a much more dire situation than they're normally placed in. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Yeah, there were actual lives at risk. Like there was a whole little family about to plunge into the icy depths of the river or whatever below.
I think it was just a canyon, so they wouldn't have had any hope of even surviving in the water.
Yeah.
They would have just splat, man.
So in episode 2, in the first half, the villain Speedmeister builds onto a local bike shop in a very precarious and not at all up to code way, and Rubble has to come in and fix it. But back to like the dumb adults, the whole reason why they're building on is because the bike shop owner forgot to stock his store with enough new bikes for like this town festival about bike riding.
Yeah, his whole excuse is I've been so busy preparing for bike week, I forgot to order the bikes. Which, dude, that's your whole job. That's it.
What is he been doing?
I think they need to poach better citizens from Adventure Bay, really.
Yeah. Okay, and so then in the next half, is it Moto or Motor?
I think it's Motor.
Okay, so Motor is like this little bulldog, I don't know, cousin, and he doesn't want to take a bath. So Rubble's solution is to build an appealing super bath, which takes up nearly the whole episode. And then Motor does want to take a bath, but then they run into a little bit of a problem when Motor's ducky gets stuck in the pipe.
Which I didn't really believe because the pipe was huge and the ducky was little. Like, wouldn't the duck just have gone through the pipe?
The circumference of the pipe was like 3 feet or something.
I thought that Motor was going to fall into the pipe and we were going to have a baby Jessica situation.
Oh, I'm glad it didn't come to that, but it was silly. It was just a silly end to the episode, I thought.
I watched this one with my kids, and Jay was pretty annoyed at having to watch the equivalent of Paw Patrol because he's 7 years old and he's insisting he's not into it right now. And the whole time during that episode, he just kept saying, "That is just a swimming pool. They built a swimming pool."
Well, he's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
All right, so in the crew builds an ice cream shop. They want to build an ice cream shop for the ice cream cart owner who is trying to give out free ice cream to everyone in town, but struggles to do it because he's just one man with a little cart. So they're trying to put a giant ice cream cone on top of this new building, and the sphere that represents the ice cream portion of the ice cream cone falls off and it rolls around town, creating potential hazards. And then in the second part, the crew fixes a squeak. Remind me what Rubble's cousin with the prosthetic leg is called.
I have no idea.
Oh, I forgot his name. So Rubble and his cousin are called to City Hall to fix a squeak that the mayor keeps hearing while she is preparing for a speech. And they end up finding 3 mice in City Hall and getting them to leave so the mayor can give her speech, introducing the first annual Builders Cove fireworks, which everyone seems really excited about, but they're all dogs and dogs hate fireworks. So I think this is a real plot problem.
We'll get into it a little bit later, but I missed a few portions of this episode because I'll talk about it later. I had to watch it live, couldn't pause it. Why was Mayor Greatway wearing a duck in a like baby Bjorn?
Oh, because the duck is her Chickaletta. I don't remember the duck's name, but like instead of having a chicken like Mayor Goodway does in Paw Patrol, she has a duck.
But she wears it. Okay.
Well, that skin to feather contact is really important for person duck bonding.
Is Chickaletta ever in a baby Bjorn?
I think Chickaletta is more of a purse chicken.
Okay. So I thought this part was hilarious, even though I missed why she was wearing the duck, because the mayor of Minneapolis is he's a puff piece of a politician. He's not good at his job. He's not very smart. He's criticized all over the place. And for a long time, he showed up to public events wearing his baby, and people joked that it was like his baby shield because nobody would get too close and criticize him if he's wearing his daughter on his chest in a baby Bjorn. And so I just thought indulgently, maybe the writers knew a little bit of something about city of Minneapolis politics and based the duck wearing as a way to mock Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry. And I would love that if it were true. I would love that so much.
Those notoriously nice Canadians taking a swipe at their neighbor to the south.
I mean, it's probably not on anyone's radar because it's such like a small little municipal situation that the larger world doesn't care about, but I would love it if it were at all inspired by Jacob Fry's Baby Shield.
I think that's great.
Let's talk about overall thoughts. What did you think about the concept and plot? Did you like it? And how does it fit into your history of the main show, Paw Patrol?
I thought it was fine. I think I appreciated it conceptually more after reading the article that we read for Screen Time in the News. Like, I could see their thinking behind it. Do I think it was strictly necessary? No. I don't think it would ever replace our Paw Patrol viewing, but given how unpredictable it is to like find Paw Patrol in all the different places, maybe we would squeeze in some Rubble and Crew too, just when we had watched all 5 seasons that are available on Paramount Plus or whatever.
Like I said earlier, it's been a really long time since I watched Paw Patrol. I had Libby home by herself after school because the other kids were doing some after school activities. We usually don't watch TV on weekday afternoons, but I was like, do you want to watch this show with me? I have to watch for my podcast. I thought she would be like excited. And she was like, no, thanks.
Oh, your Paw Patrol baby's all grown up.
I know. So that made me feel a little bad, but I did like it. It was like, having lunch with a friend you haven't seen in a really long time. It's been a long time since I spent any time with the pups, and the music is very similar. Like the animation is very similar. So it felt kind of like a nostalgia trip for me.
Speaking of the music, I did really like that the theme song is not primarily shouting, which is my real big beef with the actual Paw Patrol theme song.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so the Paw Patrol pups have gone through so many iterations. They've been superheroes, spies, lifeguards. They've been on adventures in the jungle, the mountains, the ocean, the big city, even a dinosaur park. Do we really need another iteration of Paw Patrol?
I would argue no, because to a certain extent, they've already done this expansion to focus individually on each pup's strengths. Like they have some episodes where all the pups are essentially cops and Chase is the head cop. And they have some episodes where they're all aviators, but Sky is the primary aviator. And I would be willing to bet they've already done an episode or two where everyone is working some sort of construction angle, but they all come together in a giant construction vehicle driven by Rubble.
I always thought those spinoffs, like the Mighty Pups, were just to sell different types of merchandise, kind of.
But isn't this too?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Do you think that Rubble was the right choice to focus on, or would you have rather seen a different pup as the centerpiece of a spinoff?
I think if you're already going to have a pup separating from the main crew, I would rather have seen one of the auxiliary pups. I think Tracker, the jungle pup, would have been really fun because you could mix some Spanish language in there, a la Dora the Explorer. I think Everest, the mountain pup, would be really fun because she's a girl and she already has this whole separate world apart from the main core group of pups.
Yeah, I think they could also go with like a junior pup type of show, like sort of a babysitter's little sister.
Yeah.
I personally would like to see a petty bourgeois pup introduced to this series because they're all like so blue collar types. I would like to see like a professor or an artist or a librarian pup someday.
Oh, I'll take a librarian pup.
Wouldn't that be good?
I mean, the librarian pup would actually be a cat, but that's okay.
That's true. Okay, and I have to say, Rubble is my favorite, and I think it's the underbite. And so I did love that most of his extended family that works for him are all bulldogs. I thought that was cute. What are your thoughts on the cast and characters? We've talked a little bit about the adults. Anyone you particularly loved or hated in Rubble's crew or the humans?
I was really worried about Motor. I hear what you're saying about the potential for like a Babysitter's Club Little Sister spinoff, and Motor would be the obvious choice because it's the baby pup, right? Baby
Mhm.
pup is in charge of the wrecking ball, which just gave me such anxiety every time she was on screen in that giant truck with that huge destructive wrecking ball. I was like, no one can control this baby pup. What are you thinking? So I wasn't so sold on Motor.
Yeah. I liked the one with the prosthetic leg. What did you decide his name was?
Ooh, I don't remember.
And Libby did sit down and watch a little bit, and she thought that was nice to have a little bit of diversity in pup bodies that way.
I was wondering, is there actually availability for single prosthetic legs? Like, I know I've seen dogs with like the back wheelchair. Paw Patrol actually has a recurring character with a wheelchair like that. And I've
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
seen a fair number of dogs that just get by on 3 legs. And I was kind of
Mhm.
wondering about the choice to give him a prosthetic leg instead of just have him be a 3-legged dog.
I have no idea if that's real or just the magic of animation.
Yeah, it's a very cool prosthetic.
I did think that the humans, while very daft, like the crowd scenes, the community is very diverse. Like there's a lady with a headscarf or hijab, and like not everybody is white. So that was nice.
Yeah,
to see.
definitely a change from the original Paw Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did miss the presence of wacky Quebecois cousin Francoise, who is Captain Turbot's cousin, who like comes around and is all Frenchy French.
That's right. I was just gonna ask if there was anyone you missed from the wider Paw
Yeah,
Patrol universe.
that was my
Was
pick
that
for
it?
sure. How about you?
I just was curious, like I wonder if it's just gonna be Rubble or if the other pups are ever gonna show up. Probably not. I don't know.
I'm sure we'll get some crossovers, right? Maybe some specials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's talk about the look of the show. Did the animation change? Is this like the original Paw Patrol? Because like the pups to me looked fuzzier.
Agreed. The hair is definitely more finely rendered on these pups.
Okay, is Paw Patrol like that too, or is that new with this Rubble and Crew?
Here is where we run into the problem of the fact that we're addicted to streaming and we don't watch the more recent seasons of Paw Patrol because they're not available on Paramount Plus. We would have to record them on Nickelodeon, which I'm too lazy to do, unfortunately. So I don't know the answer to that.
Well, other than that, I liked the look. It was, I mean, very, very similar to the original show. I thought that the construction vehicles were quite inventive. I would love to have a cement truck that just like sprays concrete in a stream, sort of like a whipped cream dispenser
Yep.
almost. That'd be awesome.
I think that's part of what keeps me from being a DIY person is the fact that tools are just so bulky and there are a million ones you need and you never have the exact right ones, which if you had just a pack on your back that you could be like handsaw and it would just come out, that would be so
Totally.
perfect. And maybe I would actually do stuff around the house.
So, what about the length and the structure? Was it fun for you to return to the traditional preschool format, 2 short segments per half-hour episode?
It was actually really nice because now that the boys are so much more involved in extracurricular activities, we don't have time for like a longer TV reward at the end of the day. So it was nice to be able to say, hey, let's actually sit down and watch something tonight. I know it's been a long day and you kind of want to relax a little bit, and we could let them do that in the shorter format. I liked it.
Was it weird to watch it on cable? How did you watch it?
I actually, okay, so no one is going to be interested in this. We went to the Players Championship yesterday. Kevin and I did while the boys were at school, just to like walk around and say we did it.
Okay.
And it took like 2.5 hours for us to drop the boys off at school and get over to the beach because of all the traffic due to the event.
Oh, wow.
So I actually watched 2 episodes on my phone. The first using the Nick Jr. app because you could get the pilot for free. And then the second I used the DirecTV app on my phone. But I couldn't get episode 2, so I could only watch episode 3. And then I went home and I could get episode 2 actually on my television via DirecTV. So it was a bunch of different sources. Did you watch all of them on cable?
I did. And it was a little frustrating because we pay for cable. And I thought when you record things, it's saved on your box. But I don't think that's how it works anymore because I recorded one because I couldn't for some reason get it to stream. And then it also didn't work when I recorded it. It wouldn't play it and said it couldn't access it. So I wonder if it just saves it to the cloud or something.
Ugh, that's annoying.
Yeah. So I had to watch it live, Katie. I had to watch it in real time.
Oh my gosh, Deborah, you must be so traumatized.
And that's why I missed a couple parts because like the dog was barking and I had to like get up and run to the door. And it was just like 2013 when you had to watch things at a certain time of the day.
Oh my gosh.
Made me very, very much appreciate the streaming that we enjoy now as like just something we take for granted.
Yeah.
What movie or show for grown-ups does this compare to?
I cheated and I did a book, but it is a book that has been adapted into a mini series. So I think it still counts, okay?
Okay.
I will preface this by saying this was an important book to me as a teenager. If this book or its author are now problematic, I'm not sure I want to know. So just know that going in. So I was thinking about the whole construction angle and the whole multi-generational work in a construction family. And it made me think of one of my favorite works of historical fiction, which is Ken Follett's Pillars of the Earth. Have you ever read that one? You're not really a historical fiction person, are you?
I thought you were going to say the Bible because Jesus was a carpenter.
One of my favorite works of historical fiction, the Bible.
I do remember that book. I'd never read it though.
It's like about the very long process of building a cathedral and how many generations have to work on it. And you just have to do your work knowing that someday it'll be complete and it'll be this beautiful thing that'll last forever until someone bombs it. But but you don't necessarily live to see that in your lifetime. So I thought about that a little bit while I was watching Rubble and Crew. How about you?
I thought of all the spinoffs that I could think of, which were the Joey Tribbiani show, Frasier, Better Call Saul. And in some cases, I feel like the spinoff is even better than the original product. And were you able to cast the gritty HBO reboot? I would like a workplace comedy that makes what the general public thinks of as dull work fun, because I don't know that much about construction. I'm not terribly interested in it, but Rubble and his bulldog energy and his bulldog energy family make it look a lot of fun. So I was trying to think of actors who have bulldog energy. I thought of Seth Rogen, my favorite Leslie Jones, Kelly Clarkson. I don't think she acts anymore, but she definitely has bulldog energy. Bowen Yang, Kenan Thompson. Okay, and this is like maybe getting a little too long for this segment, but a long time ago, I was at a social event and there was a guy there who worked for a Target corporation. Somebody asked him what he did, and he said he was a buyer for soft drinks. And the person asking the question was like very kind of dismissive, like, oh, that sounds like a fun job, like in a sarcastic way. And this guy, he was like, actually, it is really fun. When you're buying millions and millions of dollars of soft drinks, it's actually super exciting. And I loved that. And that's like the energy I would bring to this gritty HBO reboot of Rubble and Crew.
I like it. Okay, so I like your angle of a workplace comedy, and I want to reintroduce the trio of brothers from the television show Enlisted. So if you've never seen Enlisted, it was a really cute show about three brothers that enlisted in the army and ended up serving in the same command. And they had really great chemistry. And to kind of build off of what you said, I think some of them had a little bit of that bulldog energy. So the three brothers were Jeff Stoltz, Christopher Lowell, and Parker Young. And I would put them back as a trio of construction worker brothers who were navigating the weird cultural place that construction has in northern Florida at this point in time.
Nice. Was it better when we were kids?
It hits some of those same beats, right? Because we talk a lot about how children's cartoons were so crass and commercialistic when we were young. And it was clear, maybe even to our young viewing eyes, that they were just made to sell us things. I think that the plot and the animation are probably a lot better. So the same but better.
I think Paw Patrol, the whole deal of Paw Patrol is better. Would you ever watch this alone voluntarily?
Well, despite the fact that I watched it alone on a very long car trip yesterday, I don't think I will. I think we're still coasting on the end of Kenny's enjoyment of the Paw Patrol franchise. And even you can hook Jay in a little bit there sometimes at 7. So I could still have some good Rubble and Crew watching years ahead of me. How about you?
Would not watch it alone voluntarily. If I'm ever babysitting for my younger niece and nephew, I would definitely turn this on with them.
So that brings us to 10 seconds on whether or not this is good for our kids. I think we came down in a pretty positive space with the original Paw Patrol way back in episode 15, as far as coming to the conclusion that it's not actively harmful for children. It's made pretty well. And I would say I feel the same about Rubble and Crew. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's great, especially for the like kind of preschool, early elementary set.
I mean, you do have to have a talk with them about appropriately valuing their own labor. Maybe not giving it away for free.
Ratings?
I'm going to give it a 4. Maybe I'm just feeling generous today.
No, same. 4.
Yay! Thank you for listening to this episode of It's My Screen Time Too. If you enjoyed our show today, please share it with someone you think might enjoy it too. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyScreenTime2, or send an email to myscreentime2@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your show or movie suggestions, article recommendations, or general comments about the show. Our website is myscreentime2.com. Our theme music was composed and performed by Deborah and her adorable children, and our podcast is produced by me, Katie. Tune in next time for more real talk about the movies and TV we watch with our kids because we have to, and sometimes because we like to. Bye!
Bye.
Screen time.
It's my screen time too.